Imagine that one day, for no reason other than the way that your dog appears on the outside, you are forced to give them up. This is the sad reality that so many dog owners have had to face over the years. Family pets are torn away from responsible and loving owners and sentenced to death because of BSL laws or breed-specific legislation laws. For those fortunate enough to keep their pets, they're often forced to incredibly expensive and very strict laws that, if not followed to a T, can result in the loss of their pet as well. I've done a lot of research on this subject, as I am now the owner of not one but two pit bull type dogs, and it really hits home for me. Today I want to educate you on why breed-specific legislation laws are not only canine discrimination, but completely useless in stopping dog attacks. First, I want to explain what BSL laws are and a little bit about the breeds affected. Next, I will discuss whether or not these laws are effective or not. Finally, I will talk about a few of the alternatives to BSL laws that are more positive. First, let's look at what exactly BSL laws are. Breed-specific legislation laws are laws that ban or restrict certain types of dogs based on their appearance, usually because they're perceived as a dangerous breed. Now, a ban usually requires that all dogs of a certain appearance are to be removed from the city or town in which the ban has been implemented. This means that even if your dog has done nothing wrong at all, it can still be at risk of euthanization simply because of its looks. A restriction, on the other hand, requires the owner of a targeted breed to follow certain strict rules, depending on how the law in that area is written. These rules can include, but are not limited to, having to muzzle your dog in public, and even having to place a vicious dog sign around your house, on your door, or even on the dog while it's outside. So while different breeds like Mastiffs, Chow Chows, and German Shepherds have all been targeted by BSL at some point, Pit Bull type breeds, including the American Bull Terrier, American Staffordshire Terrier, and even the English Bull Terrier, are often the most frequent victims. Why? Because they all share similar physical characteristics, and more times than not, they are mistaken for each other. In fact, out of about 73 million pet dogs, around 31 million of them were categorized as mutts by the American Pet Products Association. So many of these mixed breeds display facial and body traits of that of pit bull breeds, and this leads to severe misidentification. And because of this, the CDC, or the U.S. Center for Disease Control, has taken a firm stance against BSL. Now that you have more of an idea of what these laws are and have had a look into the breeds that are affected, let's discuss the effectiveness of these laws. There's actually no evidence that BSL laws have helped to make communities safer for people or their companion animals. There have also been no decrease in dog bites anywhere that these bans or restrictions have been placed. BSL is ineffective because pit bulls and other breeds deemed dangerous are nearly impossible to identify without DNA test. Studies have also shown that since no dog breed is inherently dangerous or aggressive, it's often the owner's fault that causes the dog to become the way it is. Enforcing such laws are also extremely expensive. For example, in Princeton, George, Maryland, they spent over $500,000 a year just to enforce bans against pit bull terriers, but only collected about $35,000 in fines from the owners. These laws also punish responsible owners, and irresponsible ownership is promoted. While many owners of dangerous breeds are actually responsible and know how to properly care for such powerful dogs by socializing them at young ages, supervising them, and spaying and neutering them, the ignorance of a few has created massive issues for everyone. Organizations like PETA actually think that dangerous breeds like pit bulls should be eliminated altogether. In fact, no effective change will ever come from this if it's accomplished. People who train pit bulls for evil and for fighting will simply just find another breed to raise and become equally as violent. By adopting BSL, there's a strong potential for this to morph into a never-ending cycle, with breed after breed being targeted and then possibly eliminated. With the lack of effectiveness shown in BSL laws, what are some of the alternatives we could look at? A breed-neutral approach is the most important thing to consider for any alternative to BSL laws. This ensures that the deed is punished and not the breed. Irresponsible owners need to start paying the price instead of innocent family pets. For one, there needs to be enhanced enforcement of dog license laws and stricter laws on animal cruelty and anti-fighting laws. It is actually shown in a study that 84% of dog attacks have involved owners who abused or neglected their dogs. Also, increased availability to low-cost spay and neuter services are essential. The National Canine Research Council has identified that one of the most common factors found in fatal dog attacks in 2006 were that 90% of the dogs involved were not spayed or neutered. I, for one, know just how expensive it can be to neuter a 60-pound dog, but I did so because I feel I'm a responsible pet owner, and if these services were more affordable to the general public, then maybe there'd be more possibility of control in dog attacks. To name just one more alternative, it would be to enact that laws prohibiting chaining, tethering, and unreasonable confinement of dogs to be put in place, since 78% of the dogs in attacks reported were not kept as pets, but were kept as guard dogs, breeding dogs, and even yard ornament dogs, if you will. So today I talked to you about why BSL laws are wrongly discriminating against many breeds and just how wrong these laws have become. First, I explained what BSL laws are and about the breeds that have been affected. Next, I discussed whether or not these laws have had any effect towards positive sides at all. Finally, I talked about how some alternatives to BSL laws could be put in place. Statistics have shown us how these breed-specific laws have failed us. So, to provide society with the most effective canine measurements, laws must not be breed-specific. They must be neutral. It is best that BSL laws are put to rest before any more breeds are wrongly labeled as dangerous. Because remember, today it's my dog, tomorrow it could be yours.